Good day. I'm Glenn O'Cray. I'm on the Dearborn Historical Commission. I'd like to welcome you to this session of Through the Arsenal Gates. This is a program designed to help you know people who have made history, are making history, and will make history. Today, our delightful guest is Nancy Harmon, a community activist. Before I begin the interview, I want to tell you a little story that kind of reflects who Nancy is. I had a friend who had a dog and couldn't maintain that dog anymore. So I said, who is a generous soul that could take care of this dog, at least temporarily? So I called Nancy and she said, I'll do it. So she meant to keep the dog, whose name was Chance. This was really taking a chance. She agreed to take him temporarily. She fell in love with Chance. Nancy and her husband Holly were going on vacation, and because they had Chance, they had a neighbor, Rebecca Pavey, stay in their home to take care of Chance. In the middle of the night, Rebecca smelled something funny. She called the fire department. I would never call the fire department, but Rebecca did. The fire department came and they said, if you had not called, your furnace would have blown up and destroyed this 100-year-old home. So, that's the spirit of Nancy, a generous person who gets rewarded every now and then. Nancy, welcome.
Saved by the dog.
Saved by the dog.
Yeah. They said 10 minutes from conflagration. That's what they said. Yeah.
So Nancy, tell us where you were born.
I was born in Carlisle, Ohio, which is southwest Ohio. Very small village, 6,000 people. No stoplights, no... maybe 4 stop signs. Very small.
Very small.
Bedroom community of Dayton, and yeah.
And J.D. Vance also lived there.
He didn't live there. He lived in the neighboring community.
Neighboring community.
Yeah, we touched. We were we were a single A high school, and he had a triple A high school.
Okay.
And he's younger than me, but we had similarities that. It was very, my town was very white, very vanilla. We had one African-American girl who lived there until middle school, and they were asked to move to Middletown because there was more African-Americans, but there weren't many. And it was all people who had Scottish background, Appalachian background. Yeah.
So when you were a young person, who was the most significant person in your life?
It would have been my Girl Scout leader.
Tell us about her.
Yeah. Her name was Letha Stewart, and she had a very small troop that she could do a lot with. She was so instrumental in every aspect of my life. She made sure that I went to college. She made sure I could pay for college. I worked for her husband, who was a dentist, so that I could graduate from college without debt. I know that one of these questions is, where did I go to school? She was instrumental in making sure I got into Miami University of Ohio, and I was there for a couple of years and realized that wasn't a fit. I needed a profession. I needed to be able to do something when I came out of school. And so I saw that dental hygiene was a really perfect fit for a woman to support herself. I had a hygienist who worked in that dental office, and she made good money. And I thought, oh, I can do that. So I went to hygiene school, and she was always there supporting that. And dental hygiene has proven to be a beautiful profession for me.
What are your values?
I think everybody matters. I think everybody counts.
Very good. Even people with who are ornery, who might drive quickly down your street.
Oh, yeah. Even those. Sorry. Yeah. Even neighbors who don't agree with me, I think they matter. Even people who are different than me, they matter.
All right, very good. Now, how did you happen to come to Dearborn?
Well, the Reagan recession of 1985 displaced a lot of people, and my husband was graduating from college. I had already graduated, and there was no jobs for a young engineer. So he ended up working for the Army in Baltimore, Maryland, as a civilian, and blew up tanks. He had a real great big boy job. He would blow them up, assess the damage, and then blow them up again. And he probably used every form of explosive on tanks. And then we got here because of the downsizing of the military after the Cold War ended. And Clinton gradually decreased the forces. Wasn't a huge reduction, just a gradual reduction. And my husband's a car guy. He always wanted to be in the car business. And not selling cars, but engineering cars. So that's what he does.
All right. Now, how did you meet Holly?
In the library at college, casual passing.
Isn't that a wonderful place to meet somebody?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
totally wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what's your best Dearborn story?
Oh, you're going to have to get to my best dental story too, but my best Dearborn story would probably be doing something with Julia Archer, who was my neighbor across the street, who was the queen of civil engagement, of activist. She was amazing, absolutely amazing. And I don't know, probably being at a city council meeting, watching Julia Archer speak so eloquently at a city council meeting would be a good one.
Very good.
Yeah.
So Julia had a major impact on you and your life. She was kind of like a Girl Scout leader for adults.
Could be like that. She could be exactly like that. But I realized that I started some kind of civic thing in first grade. I was in student government. And I was student government president in high school. And I was in student government at a college. So when I got here and there was all of these wonderful people engaged in the neighborhood, and it's a great neighborhood. I mean, we were there just 1 hour and we met everybody. Everyone walked over in that hour to meet us. And I realized, what a wonderful neighborhood we just fell into by accident. And then to find that they really cared about the neighborhood and that they were engaged to make sure they could protect it because of, at that time, business encroachment into Morley and Garrison. And to see that these highly intelligent people knew how to play it, how to work it, understood the game, not a game, the policies, understood these things. That was fun. That's just fun.
I have to throw in 2 stories about Julia. She was one day wearing a tiara.
That was one of the best days. I'll take it, because it started on my porch. So that day, Maureen Stanton had moved in down the street. It was 2 days, she'd moved in later. But I walked down with cookies earlier to say, hey, welcome to the neighborhood, which is what we do. And then her husband said, she's not here, she's taking a walk. So I'm on my front porch doing work, but I'd made some really great white chili. And so the smell, no, I wasn't on my porch. My son was on the porch doing his homework. I was making chili. This wonderful chili smell was all over the porch and the neighborhood. And she comes up and she says, oh, hi, I'm Maureen, and we're talking. And I said, oh, this is such a great place. People just come up on the porch and talk all the time. And then Glenn and Jane come up on the porch and they're talking. And I said, at some point, we'll meet Julia, who lives across the street. And she is the queen of the neighborhood. And it just happens to be 3 days after her birthday, and she's still wearing her tiara.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Is that how you remember it?
That is. Now, another story tied into Julia, and I think it's such a great story. Julia's husband was Keith Archer. He was assistant to Mayor Hubbard. Mayor Hubbard had all of his top executives write a letter of resignation on the day they were hired so that he could pull it out whenever he wanted to fire somebody. Years later, Julia and her husband Keith are at a conference in Port Huron. Somebody called the room. Julia answered, and they asked for Keith, and she said, "He's not here. Can I take a message?" No. Person did not identify himself. The following Monday, when Keith came back to the office from the conference, there was a note from Mayor Hubbard saying, "I have accepted your resignation." Keith went to see the mayor and said, "What is this all about?" Hubbard said, "You were with a woman that was not your wife at this conference." He said, "That was my wife." Hubbard said, "Uh-oh." He said, "Not only did I fire you, but I hired somebody for you for your slot, and that person had a big party to celebrate." So we love local stories like that. Now, when you were growing up, did you work besides the dental office?
Oh, I did the typical McDonald's thing and babysitting, but I wasn't good at either of those.
You didn't like babysitting?
Oh, I hated it. Hated it.
When you were 12, what did you think you wanted to do for a living? 12.
I actually thought I wanted to go into the military. Because, it's a real rah-rah military kind of community. But I found out later women weren't allowed.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you're a hygienist. Tell us some of the facets of your work that you've had as a hygienist. Hygienist might be an understatement for all the things that you have done. So tell our audience about that.
That's a good way to phrase it. I have been a private practice hygienist for 30 years, but then I was blessed to become a director of a free medical dental clinic. Well, no, before that, I was blessed to work at a federally qualified health center, and I was able to start a school-based program in Detroit where you go into schools, you clean children's teeth, you teach them how to brush their teeth, which is the most important thing you can learn, how to brush your teeth, and then get them dental care. And some of the schools, I actually took the dentist in and we filled teeth and we pulled teeth in the school class, not the classrooms, but in the schools. And we had 43 of those. And then I was blessed to become the dental director for St. Vincent de Paul, which this was before the American Affordable Care Act. And adults didn't have insurance. And the premise of that clinic was to get people jobs. People could not get jobs if they were in pain, if they didn't look right, if they couldn't speak right. That kept people from getting a job. And that wasn't their fault. It's because of the way they grew up. It was the exposure to things, their ignorance of dental care. So that changed a lot of people's lives. And one of my best dental stories happened there, and you wanted to ask me about that. And there was a man who came in, and when he was in his early 20s, he'd been in a fight, and he'd broken his jaw. So he went to the hospital, they wired the jaw together. Not this way, but this way. So I see him 30 years later, and he still has the wire in his jaw. And it's caused great disease process, lost teeth, abscessed teeth, and he smelled really bad. Like, he smelled so bad that he always stood back 10, 15 feet from everybody. And the dentist who was there, who was an oral surgeon, he's Dr. Ron Morse, amazing oral surgeon. He had that thing taken out in about 4 minutes. And
now, why did the fellow keep this in his mouth for so long?
Because he couldn't pay the bill.
Couldn't pay the bill.
He was in his early 20s, didn't have a job, couldn't pay the bill, so they would not take it out. No one would touch it. A lot of dentists don't want to touch someone else's work. But Ron Morris has no problem doing that. He actually said, "What do you have to cut with? Give it to me and I'll take it out of there." And he had it out. And then the fellow had his teeth cleaned once, and then the second time he had his teeth cleaned to finish him up, the hygienist was giving him affirmation, saying, "Oh, you've come through so much. I'm just so happy we've been able to help you." And he said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she brought him out of the room, and on the wall, I had stories, before and after stories of everybody, of things like this. And he read it, and he said, "I'm not that person anymore. I'm not." And he was so gregarious and funny, and he was like huggy. It was just like, it changed him completely. It gave him his life back. And so in a way, people have enough baggage. It's better to be able to help them and get rid of some of that baggage so they can live on and do great things, because that guy's happy now, and everybody around him's happy. Yeah.
Was the movie made about him?
No, not a movie. No, this is probably the most anyone's talked about him. Yeah, I think about him. And then after that, I went to the Malta Dental Clinic, and one of the things there that we did better, was it's a free clinic also. It's a medical, pharmacy, eye clinic, dental clinic. But we were able to help 160 dental students get into school. They would come and they would volunteer, and we would give them write them a recommendation letter, and they learned to do good to people who without anything, who very much appreciated it, and they've come back to volunteer after they graduated. So that's the nice thing, because people get filled up when they volunteer. Nobody has, their expectations are different than people who are there because they need care, just are so happy to just get the basic things and to be healthy. And that's different than somebody who feels entitled to like white straight teeth. Yeah.
A lot of people that you have dealt with are poor.
Yeah. And I did that because of that first dental office I worked at. He was the only dentist in the county who saw Medicaid. So we saw everybody. Every trucker who came into the truck stop came and got a tooth pulled. I remember one time when, I have more stories from that office than anything. One time someone from one of the big biker gangs died, and they had his funeral in town, and at where the dental clinic was, not my hometown, next town over. But we had a lot of bikers come in with bad teeth, and they were all so nice. I mean, I learned so many nice things about bikers. They all had a look sort of grim, but they were just really nice, and they were scared of the dentist, I don't know why I said that story.
well, talk about the tie-in between poverty and dental care.
That was before any dental insurance. No one had insurance at the time, and people had to pay cash for it. You could get Medicaid, but you had to pay cash, and still it was very expensive. I don't know why. But my community was lower middle class where I grew up, and healthcare was not important. It was on the back burner. So when I saw patients coming into that office, they were my neighbors, they were the people I went to church with, they were my relatives. So I understood this could be anyone's community. So when I came to Michigan, and in Baltimore I worked in a very wealthy office, and then I came here, and my first office was in Birmingham, I realized I didn't fit that. I fitted people who were in need of care. Drastic need of care, and then I figured out a way to work into that position.
Very good. If I might share my best dental story, when my wife and I were first married 59 years ago, I could not afford to go to a real dentist, so I went to the University of Detroit Dental School. And the real dentist said to me, "Have you ever thought of getting braces?" And I said, I had them. And the dentist said, the guy that worked on you just did a terrible job. He said, wait a minute, let me tell you the name of your dentist. And he did. He had such a reputation for doing poor work. So when I was in my late 70s, I decided to have braces put on, and my primary doctor, Dr. Kameth, said, out of curiosity, at this stage of your life, why are you having braces? And I said, I've given instruction to my wife that when I'm in the casket, I want to have my lips propped up so that everybody can see my beautiful teeth. Anyhow, on with the show. Any other good dental stories to share?
I think I've told more than 20,000 people how to brush their teeth.
Oh, tell us the secret to good dental health.
Oh yeah, the secret to good dental health is find me. I'll show you, because it's one thing to tell someone, totally different to be shown how to do it, because your hands have to work to do it right. But primarily to use a small-headed soft toothbrush with water first.
Why not a real, I don't know, a toothbrush with strong bristles?
Because you're not cleaning the grout in your tub. You're cleaning the area between your teeth, and it's live tissue, and that will cause recession, and you'll have very sensitive teeth.
Okay.
And then they sell you things for sensitive teeth when you don't need sensitive teeth. You can get rid of sensitive teeth by the way you brush.
Oh.
Come and find me. I live on Morley.
All right, you're the president of the Morley Area Residents Association. Tell us some of the issues that you've had to deal with that are kind of note.
The latest was when the mayors came in and the economic development wanted to expand businesses on Garrison. And like I said, when I first came here 30 years ago, they were trying to stop business encroachment. And I like the mayor. I like how he's doing things. But at the beginning of his administration, he was trying new ideas without realizing how important the neighborhoods were. I think he's got a very good feel on how important neighborhoods are. So we, as a neighborhood, said we'd like to keep Garrison the same as it is. And in the end, I think we had a good compromise with the administration. Right now, the Neighborhood Association is going to be celebrating Good Neighbor Day, which is September 28th. And it's a National Good Neighbor Day. Didn't know existed. Jimmy Carter started it. It's been around that long, and I think we're going to do it all the time, but we're going to do some things through the neighborhood over the summer to help people get to know each other better, because our neighborhood has changed. When I moved in that day, one of those 5 neighbors who came to talk to us said, that was the Busses, Carol Busses said, oh, you're coming from Baltimore. We were hoping you were black. We need color in our neighborhood. And she said, we're disappointed. And I thought, that's the best disappointment I think you could have. But now our neighborhood is so rich in diversity, and we all need to be open to that. I mean, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to raise my child in Dearborn. He has played on Mexican soccer teams, Brazilian soccer teams, Arabic soccer teams, and he has so many friends of every ethnicity. And that's what I had wanted, to have a richness in his life. And I hope everyone has that with their child here.
Now, how do you get people engaged? We're losing connectivity with one another.
Well, at least our neighborhood association still does that paper thing. And even last night at the meeting we had at the Peace Park, someone said, oh, I know Mara. They have that blue paper. Wasn't that good? So people still like paper. And I find that I can take a no. I can always ask someone, will you do this, or would you consider this? And they can say no, and that's okay. It doesn't affect me personally. But now that person's thinking about something that's going on in the neighborhood, and the next time I might ask them, they'll say maybe, or the next time they'll have an opinion, and they might get engaged. So I have no problems asking people. It's sort of like reminding people to floss. I don't take it personally when you don't floss, but I'm going to remind you every single time you come to the dental office, you should floss.
Tell everybody what your license on your car says.
Floss on, baby.
Not baby,
No,
but
floss on.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, you're also involved with the Dearborn Federation of Neighborhoods. Tell us some of the issues that they're dealing with.
And if you don't know about the Federation, it's been around for, I don't know, maybe 40 years, maybe longer. But every neighborhood association has a director come to this meeting once a month, and they discuss what's going on in the neighborhood. But also a city employee comes and just tells everything that's going on in the city in their department. Like one time it was the Vector Group. I didn't know that much about rats. Now I know a lot about rats. It could be public.
We don't have any rats in our neighborhood, though.
Oh, we don't have very many rats in our neighborhood.
Good. Yeah.
So every city department speaks. So then we're supposed to take that information and bring it back to the neighbors in the way that our neighbors hear it. So we're just a connection to the city.
Very good. Now, who would you consider to be good role models for young people in the city of Dearborn?
Therese Turns, and she's affected so many young people by her role in what she's done in schools. But also, mayor. I think the mayor has done, I think the thing is, he's a young man who's taken responsibility and sincere, genuine concern, responsibility. And a lot of young people don't take responsibility like that. They'll take responsibility for themselves, but not responsibility for others. And I applaud him for that.
Yeah, very good. Is there anything you haven't said that you think you should say about your son and husband?
They're both handsome.
What's the worst thing that has ever happened to you that has made you a better person?
I have not had that moment yet.
No. Any challenges along the way that you think are noteworthy that you'd like to share?
I've had lots of challenges, but I sort of like challenges.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
It's not one of those things that I'm going, oh. I mean, I do that on things, but I still like the challenge. I like a little adversary. I like something to work on.
Okay. All right, Nancy, life is short. What do you want people to say about you when you've gone to the next life?
She told me how to brush my teeth. She showed me how to brush my teeth. If you keep your teeth, it's really true. I'm going to add this in here. If you have 20 teeth by the time you're 80, you won't have dementia. There's such a big role in your oral health for the rest of your life. And if you learn to brush and floss your teeth, that's all you need to do. It's just learning how to do it.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest today has been Nancy Harmon. I truly enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed the show, tell all your friends and relatives. If you didn't enjoy it, just keep it to yourself. Thank you for joining us.